Hello and welcome to this video in which I'll be showing you how to install one of the map tiles that you gain with the Games Master's map range from Gethsemane Games. At least the more recent additions to the range all come with virtual tabletop map tiles. The older ones didn't initially, but we will be upgrading them all so that they do. Now then, once you have them, you'll need to know how to install them in your virtual tabletop. I'll be showing you using Roll20 because that's the virtual tabletop that I use. If you use a different one, there'll be a slightly different technique, but it'll be something very similar to what I'm about to show you. So go ahead, watch the video, and hopefully you'll be able to pick it up from there. My name's Bryan F Irving. I'm the lead cartographer with Gethsemane Games. So I'm responsible for the GM's maps range, which has changed hugely in the 3 or 4 years since it began. Initially, the maps were all very basic, in the vein of the early RPGs, sort of pseudo architectural style. Nowadays, we tend not to play games the way we used to play, and especially with the COVID-19 lockdown, an awful lot of games now are being played over virtual tabletops, so we decided to redesign a lot of our maps. We will be doing it the whole range so that the virtual tabletop friendly, full colour, much nicer to look at and to actually play on. So I'm going to use the one I finished this afternoon, which was the re-release for the Haunted House, just in time for Halloween in a day or two. And I'm going to install it for you, and I'll walk you through the method for doing that. So, first of all, you're going to need to set up a page on your game. We'll assume you've already got a game running that you're going to install it on. The game I'm using here is the Gethsemane Games test game, where we test out a lot of techniques that we're going to be using, a lot of maps we're going to be working on, some games we're going to run, and so on. So, today I'm going to use this. I've set up a page partially ready, but I'm just going to show you. Open the page. Now, every GM's map product that you buy from us that has virtual tabletop tiles in it, it will tell you what size the tiles are set at. Now, in a lot of them I use meters because I'm European and we tend to use meters here. In this particular one I used 5 foot per square because the Haunted House is based on an American architectural style, and it just kind of felt like the right thing to do since in America they use the feet and inches system. So we'll keep the grid set at 5 feet per square for this one. However, the Haunted House is only therefore 15 squares by 15 squares. A lot of my maps done in meters will be 25 or 30 squares, but this one's 15 by 15 squares. So first thing we're going to want to do is go up here and change the width to 15. So we'll just bring that down. And then we'll change the height to 15 as well and bring that down. So we've set this up pretty much how we are going to need it. Now, depending on the resolution of your screen, you might be finding it's a little bit difficult to see the white on white that would be the default. So I'm just going to change the background. You don't need to do this. I'm just doing this so that it's a little bit easier for people at home who are not on a high definition screen just to see what we're doing rather than trying to look at white on white. So I'll change the background to a pale green there. If you're on a very high definition screen, that'll look rather ugly, lime green. But you're going to cover it in a moment with the map, so that really doesn't matter. Okay. The next thing you're going to need to do is to upload the map tiles. Now, I've actually already uploaded them, as you can see, but I'll just talk you through how you would do that, just in case you don't know. You probably do, but I'll tell you anyway. So, on my library, you'll want to click Upload, go to the file where you've stored it, and you would just drag them across and then drop them, drag them and drop them, and once you've got all 4 in, you're away. So I'll just cancel that now. In point of fact, this will come up and it'll look like it's taken forever to upload them. Actually, if you type in here Haunted House, you'll find it never takes Roll20 as long to upload something as that dialog box tells you it's taking. It'll actually be installed long before that one tells you it's installed. So if you're touch impatient like myself, you can just go ahead and type Haunted House in there and it'll be ready. Okay. Next thing you're going to want to do, you'll notice that on the left here, we're currently on the objects and tokens layer, and that is very much not where we're going to want to have our map. We're going to want to have our map on the map and background layer, so just go ahead and change that. And then drag this over, and by default, it'll put it on 3 squares by 3 squares, which is, again, not the right scale. It's not what you're after. This is a very easy thing to fix. Click on the right-hand button, and on Advanced, go over and pull down to Set Dimensions. By default, it will come up as pixels. Pull down on the menu and change that to units. By units, they mean squares. Now, as I mentioned, every Games Master's map will tell you the square size per tile that we've set. In this instance, it's 15, so we're just going to type 15 over the size there to get it correct. Hit set and it'll do this very quickly. There you go. And then you will have to center it slightly. Now then, this has come up with full resolution instantly. You will find initially, the first time you do it, it won't resolve quite so quickly because it's seeing that map for the first time. So it'll take a little moment to resolve quite as crisply as that. But there you go. That's how you install it with the minimal loss of resolution. What we do is we know that Roll20, for example, uses 70 pixels by 70 pixels for its squares. So we just set our map tiles for that. You essentially multiply 70 by the number of squares you've broken it into. But we've done all that for you. You just need to upload it. Once it's resolved, go ahead and go back to the objects and tokens and start dropping any objects or tokens that you want to use into your map. And there you are. You're good to go. Now, this particular map, the Haunted House, which is James Map 30, if you're interested, only has 1 tile per level of the house. There are 4 levels in total: ground, second, third, and basement. And you'll notice that I numbered them in the American style rather than the European style that I grew up with, which is ground, second, third, and fourth. Because again, this is based on an American architectural style, so I kind of wanted to stay in that thing. But there you go, that's the first floor in, and then you would simply start a new page to drop in the next floor up. So I'm going to do that for you, and I'm going to set it up exactly the same as we did earlier. We'll set this to 15 by 15. There we go. And I'll just pop a green background in, and I'll leave everything else. I'm not going to bother setting up the fog of war, the advanced lighting, for the purposes of this video, because we're just showing you how to install these really. I can do one later to show you how to add those. If you particularly want me to, do email me and let me know at the Gethsemane Games email address, or just drop it in the messages underneath the video. But really, there are an awful lot of videos on YouTube that show you how to set dynamic lighting up for maps. So you shouldn't have too much trouble with that. But if you do, let me know. If enough people have trouble, I will do one to show you. So we're going to install the second... I've just made a mistake there, so I'll just delete that. The mistake I made is I installed that with the objects layer still on, so I'll change it to the maps, and we'll do that again. We'll do it right, and we'll pretend that didn't just happen. We'll pretend like I knew what I was doing. There we go. And again, you'll notice it comes in 3 by 3 because that's pretty much the default. Just right click, advanced, set dimensions, same as before, move it down to units, change it to 15 by 15. Now you might see this one resolve a little bit more slowly because I've never opened this map before, so it's the first time that Roll20 is actually seeing it. So this one might resolve a little bit more slowly, which will show you what I talked about earlier. So we'll set that. Yeah, you see it's a little bit on the fuzzy side. We just need to go ahead and center it. And there you go. the time it's taken me to do that, we've already resolved. So it went from that quite fuzzy map initially to much clearer. You can zoom in and you can take a closer look at the bed and the wardrobes and so on. And you're actually in quite close before you start to see pixelization on some of the finer lines there, and it shouldn't be anything too much for you to worry about. So that should be a nice surface for you to, a nice map for you to drop in tokens and play on. You notice that the background now is set to white because it was on the map, and that's covering that horrible lime green. If you zoom out far enough on Roll20, of course, it will start to cut bits off on the bottom of the map for its own reasons that no one has ever really figured out. But there you go. Okay, so that's how you do it. Hope that's been useful to you. That is a map that's only one tile per level, and some of our GM's maps are much, much bigger than that. But I'll handle that in an entirely different video for you in a day or two. Because, to be frank, it's 11 o'clock at night here in the UK and I'm still at my desk. So I'm going to go and watch a bit of Critical Role, actually, before I turn in for the night, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed that video and that it's useful for you. You take care, stay safe, and I will see you again in a day or two. Goodbye.